Today's video. Not much has happened for the past 24 hours because Tindral Sageswift is really, really hard. So both teams, and all teams even, but both teams, have had their plans for coming into the second reset, which is reclear, splits a little bit, that kind of activity. Get those great vaults, get that second crafted piece. That's kind of what we're talking about today. So first off, Liquid, they've just cleaned up their reclear in very, very speedy fashion and are already back on Tindral now. So extremely, extremely fast reclear. I think to be expected. Even the hardest boss of the reclear, which is Smolderon, is trivialized by 5 or 6 extra eye levels of gear relative to what they had when they did it the first time. For like any guild that kills Smolderon at any given eye level will find it easy with that knowledge plus 6 eye levels.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, they 4-shot it, and they were halfway through the final part of the enrage, and it was like you were saying, not particularly close. Echo went to bed a little bit early today as well, which is kind of to be expected. I think that they're supposed to be waking up about 4 o'clock, supposed to be in the studio and ready to game by 5, which is when EU reset is. I think it's kind of to expect to see Echo do something very similar to what we saw from Liquid today, which is basically they did a couple of heroics. Liquid was able to, kill Fyr'akk. They got some Omni tokens. The people who were wearing normal tier got that replaced with heroic tier, and then they did, like you're saying, their mythic reclear. I mean, was there anything else really with the reset? I mean, there's crafts and
is
crests.
the crafted piece. Yeah, you're upgrading either like a 470 and 1 out of 2 embellishments to a 476, or you are upgrading a 447 old embellishment to a 476. So, that's a sizable little power spike as well, using that Enchanted Worms crest. There's also another round of 6 aspects upgrades and 6 worms upgrades that come out this week too, which is certainly something. Reclear gives you those aspect crests, and Heroic will give you those worms crests as well. So players will be able to use that to get themselves upgrades on a lot of their different pieces. That's, so that's 12 upgrades, each of which is 3.5 eye levels. So that's like 40 item levels across a character's sheet on different items. Mm-hmm. So that's like a 2.5 eye level bump on your character eye level by using all those upgrades. That's pretty big.
So, I mean, we got some numbers. Whenever they were pulling Tindral yesterday, guilds were basically sitting at, oh my gosh, this is going to happen again.
474.1. That's all good.
Yeah.
474.1 was the eye level yesterday of both guilds on Tindral.
Now Liquid is 478.18 after they've killed Smolderon. So they killed Smolderon at 478.18. And so, I mean, they gained, 4 item levels through this clear?
4 item levels exactly, pretty much, yeah. So
yeah, I mean,
that is probably pretty good. Probably, one of those is coming from the vault, and then, one of those is coming from crests, or from the craft, and then 2 of them are coming from upgrades or something like that. I don't know. Maybe they haven't sent all their upgrades yet either. I suspect that 478.1 will probably optimize up to like 478.6 over the next day as they kind of figure out all of their final places that those upgrades will go, or even just as they send them now that they've killed Smolderon and got that last little bit of info.
So for those who are not going to get any upgrades off of Smolderon at all, they were fine to send all of their crests. They were fine to send all of their upgrades of pieces that they were no longer going to be getting upgrades. If they were going to get an upgrade off Smolderon, and that could change the texture of what they take out of their vault, what they upgrade, that could have kind of thrown a wrench into things and made it a little bit more complicated of a decision. There's probably like a few people, maybe even like half this raid that killed Smolderon was waiting, sitting on a couple of item levels. But even still, that's not much is going to change. Maybe like half an item level is going to go up from here till maybe even like the end of the raid. There's not really much more item level that either guild can gain too much.
Tindral's going to drop some items, but that's not a big deal. And
3 pieces of gear, 4 pieces of gear.
Yeah, it's unlikely to matter much for that. They are also losing Vantis on Tindral this reset because they are not going to. There's no way you can Vantis Tindral now. So
I didn't think about that.
plus 4 eye levels, but minus a few hundred verse on the raid is going to have some amount of... that's going to cancel out to some extent, so we'll see how that ends up mattering for Tindral. And I guess that's the next question now, is how long is Tindral going to live facing this plus 4 eye level Liquid and soon the plus 4 eye level Echo? The boss has already survived like 400 pulls now. Will it be able to survive another 100 and make it to that 500 pull count? I don't know.
Whenever we were talking about penultimate bosses yesterday, I should have brought this up. Do you know that Abras only had 270 3 cumulative pulls across the whole entire raid for Liquid.
Yeah, so Tindral is now over the Aberrus pull count of the
well
entire
over.
raid.
Yeah, over it even, which is
That's pretty cool.
kind of crazy to think about.
I suspect though, they got what, 75% down in 400 pulls. I suspect that last 25%. I mean, the coordination challenge is higher, but their numbers are going to be also better now that they have that extra week of gear. I think they can. I think this boss is going to be a 462 pull boss. That's my call for Liquid. For Echo, I don't know. It could be still a little bit less, but probably a little bit later the kill. I don't know. That's still wide open though. It's extremely high coordination intensity fight.
I think most likely situation is what Liquid kills it pretty early tomorrow, hopefully before we even record this, and Echo kills it like pretty early the day after, like the reset after, or not the not the reset after, the day after.
Yeah, I mean, when you say hopefully there, that's like hopefully for what, the race still being 50-50 or something like that, or
well, I just mean hopefully
both guilds would prefer that they kill it immediately, and then the other guild never kills it.
What I said, hopefully is the boss is dying. Like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, hopefully we get to see Fyr'akk soon, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think much as people are calling Tindral a great boss, and the Raiders are enjoying fighting it, I certainly am ready now for Fyr'akk to be pulled and start getting into the last boss here. If we're not looking for a 3 reset race, you do need Fyr'akk to get pulled probably before the weekend starts for that to be likely. So
another reset race for Dratnos.
could be the vibe. Surprising after how quick the first bosses fell, but yeah. That's what we'll have to see now, is how well they're able to use this extra gear and the good night's sleep and stuff that they got at the end of the first reset to go and kill Tindral real quick.
I mean, do we have anything else? I feel like the reset day is actually, it's one of the more pivotal moments in the race, but in regards to like drama or things occurring, there's not really a lot happening. It's most of it's just like reclear and getting loot. Like, it's a very important day, but like it's not like a pivotal moment in the race by any means.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair way to describe it. It's
I mean, neither of these. I don't think that there's a real high degree of likelihood that either Liquid or Echo are going to mess up their reclear or
right.
Mess up
obviously
farm.
Liquid already have killed reclear and and done their splits and stuff. I think Echo also unlikely to struggle too much. A question for Echo is going to be, will Xaylia be back? For them?
Is he okay?
He's like quite sick apparently, but sometimes when you're moderately sick, you get over that faster than when you're like light sick, right? So
listen,
I don't know. We'll see if he comes back or not.
Is this going to be his flu game? Tindral Sageswift.
Yeah,
Xaylia looking like Jordan 97.
Could well be.
This is it. Xaylia's flu game. I don't know. We'll see. I think that we're still at the exact same spot that we were yesterday, about 50-50.
Yeah, nothing's really changed on Tindral. Like, Echo are still a couple percent behind, but both guilds are medium into P3 and are struggling with P1 and P2 consistency still, which that is the hard part of that fight. So we'll see if Liquid have got... I mean, the extra gear does actually make that easier as well.
I was about to ask.
You kill the roots faster, so
okay.
That makes... A lot of the seed overlaps are hard because you're getting out of the roots so fast, and because they're hard, but the roots getting out of the roots faster is going to make that easier. So I don't know. We might be able to see. Also, there's just a morale boost of reclear too. So, and you kind of know that, like, okay, now we're back in it, right? We are more powerful. Let's do this. So that's going to be the question: is like, will Liquid in the rest of their day be able to make a lot of prog? They could even kill this by the end of their day. It's not impossible.
I mean,
that would put a lot of pressure on Echo if they did.
So let's cut back to this Warcraft Logs page. They have 24% of the boss to go. That is a long 24%, but this boss is typically dealt with in spurts of progression. Like, there are some bosses that you'll have pretty steady progression. More often than not, bosses will have like bursts of progression where you like chunk it out, and so like at 24% there might be just a root overlap. Typically these bursts of progression are going to come with the roots or seed soaks, and so like once you're able to get through like the next set of roots or the next set of seed soaks, you can kind of limp through another 5 to 10% even potentially on the boss. And so while it is 24, it's probably like 2 or 3 more large overlaps that they're going to have to prog through. I guess we'll see. I think it's unlikely to die today because it's like such an inconsistent fight for both of these guilds, or for all of these guilds. But it's definitely possible.
Yeah, we'll have to see. That'll be something we check back in on tomorrow, I guess.
Would be a big. It would be a pretty big deal if Liquid kills it within this raid day. I think that would be
huge for them.
Huge. Yeah.
If either guild can kill it on their reclear day, that would be really, really tremendous. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Anyways, we'll see what happens. We'll have more stuff to actually talk about tomorrow. I think that there's going to be a lot more stuff. Hopefully, we have like a Fyr'akk intro, maybe talk about some of the major changes of Fyr'akk Mythic, how that's going to be going. We'll see. All right. We'll be back tomorrow. Goodbye.
Bye.